Being called racist is fine.
In that hoarding, murderous, white culture fashion.
Nazis do not deserve to eat.
Hey guys, I'm Brad Polumbo, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to my series where I take on the craziest and wackiest ideas going viral on TikTok. If you're new here, consider sticking around, subscribing, joining the crew, and now, let's dive into it.
Nazis do not deserve to eat. Nazis do not deserve to live.
Okay. Maybe it's just me, but this seems fundamentally incompatible with the whole everything is a human right narrative you get from this very same crowd. Also, part of the reason this sentiment is so disturbing on TikTok is that they also basically think everybody who disagrees with them is a Nazi. We're not literally talking about the KKK here. I mean, folks like this think anybody to the right of Bernie Sanders is basically a fascist.
Ventura. Yes, Satan?
It also bothers me how this kind of nihilistic leftist perspective, it really leaves no room for redemption. I don't want Nazis to starve or live on the streets or otherwise die. I want them to see the light and realize that humans' value and dignity is not determined by the pigment of their skin. And join us as we move into a more tolerant and inclusive society overall. But you're not going to convince anyone by calling for their death.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Being called racist is fine. Being called racist is not the end of the world. I get called a racist constantly, usually from white people. And the thing about it is that it does nothing. It causes no harm. So maybe in instances when you have defended yourself against a black person being mean to you, maybe you were being racist about it, and that's why you were called a racist. But maybe you weren't, and maybe you were called a racist anyway. And that could cause some temporarily hurt feelings, but it doesn't have to impact you in any lasting way because there's no systemic backing behind it, like there is with racism.
Yeah, no, it actually is a pretty big deal for somebody to call you racist because being racist is evil, and we shouldn't just be willy-nilly calling people evil, especially because progressive social justice types throw this term around like candy on Halloween, diluting its meaning and limiting our ability to actually call out racism where it exists. And this take, it just pretends like cancel culture isn't a thing, when it very much is.
You're going to cancel this recount like Anne Frank's bat mitzvah.
Just calling people racist is not fine, but it's definitely not fine in a time when cancel culture is real and people are facing losing their jobs or professional consequences or major adverse effects in their life because of one offensive statement or even an innocent thing that's misconstrued or taken out of context. Obviously, in that background, it is not a lighthearted thing to just casually call someone a racist.
Homophobic, racist, transphobic, and anti-woman.
It's a grave allegation that should be taken very seriously. Also, why do you get called racist all the time? You're either doing something very wrong or hanging out with the wrong people.
What do multi-billion-dollar corporations that pay minimum wage and 40-year-old men that date 18-year-olds have in common? They'd both go lower if it was legal. I hate it here.
Okay, that one didn't make me laugh. I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of funny. But as far as corporations are concerned, it's simply not true. They don't just pay the absolute legal minimum wage they can in absence of higher minimum wages. They have to pay a competitive rate when they're competing for labor in a competitive free market. For example, in states like South Carolina, there is no state minimum wage, so the only minimum wage is the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. But even in South Carolina, only 5% of hourly workers actually earn the minimum wage. That means 95% earn more than that, even though corporations are not legally required to pay them that much. It's almost like wages are determined by supply and demand, not just government mandates. And workers can actually thrive under competitive free market capitalism because as they become more productive, their compensation goes up over time. No, not because the employers are generous and just want to reward their hard work, but because they can get another job that pays more, and it's profitable for that employer to employ them at a higher wage. Of course, this doesn't always happen when markets are rigged in favor of incumbents through subsidies or crony regulations, or when people are trapped from moving to job easily by government interventions. But in those situations, your beef's not with capitalism, it's with big government.
There's so many reasons I can think of off the top of my head why Americans are addicted to air conditioning. While there are many, let's just focus on one: genocide. After they finished colonizing the out of Europe and became white people, and then they came over here, they murdered with abandon the indigenous people here who would know how to live in this land. And then they took all of their practices and building and however they called themselves farming, and they really couldn't even do that in the way that was needed here in the Americas, and brought it over here. Instead of turning around and being okay with the indigenous here and figuring out, hey, we're settlers, we're going to do this. No, in that hoarding, murderous, white culture fashion, they killed everybody that could tell them. And here we are 400 years later trying to figure it all out. So that's my one reason.
So let me get this straight. In the year 2023, Americans love air conditioning because back in the colonial era, they were really mean and cruel to indigenous people.
So it doesn't make sense.
Huh? I'm obviously not going to defend the way that Native Americans were treated by colonists and explorers, but that has nothing to do with air conditioning today. I mean, even in an alternate reality where everybody had gotten along, kumbaya, we'd still be trying to figure out, as technology evolved, ways to keep ourselves cool, especially because in many parts of this country, without air conditioning, summers would be unbearable or even deadly.
It's a little warm in here.
I just find content like this, and it's everywhere on TikTok, just so annoying because you're really diluting the gravity and seriousness of the kind of serious atrocities and historical injustices you're talking about when you try to connect them to every little thing about modern life today. I will give you the gold medal for those mental gymnastics, though. Alright guys, that's it. I don't think I can take any more of these or I'll start losing some brain cells. If you enjoyed this video, consider dropping a like and let me know in the comments below which one of these TikToks was your personal favorite. And if you're new here, again, please do consider subscribing. This channel is growing really fast and I'm so lucky to have you all. With that, I'll see you all in my next video.